You see, life was never meant to be a smooth road. There will be moments when everything feels like it's falling apart. Your heart will ache, your mind will race, and you may wonder, how did I get here? But pause for a moment, take a deep breath. And remember when you've done everything you could, when you've cried until your tears ran dry, and when you feel like you're at the edge, that is the perfect time to let Allah fix your problems. There are times in life when you will feel like everything is slipping away. You might have planned every detail, you might have done everything in your power, and yet nothing seems to go your way. It is in these moments that you will begin to realize how limited you truly are. Your knowledge, your strength, your effort, it can only go so far. But there is something beyond your capacity that will never fail you. It is your reliance on the one who has no limits. The moment you truly rely on Allah, you will never be let down. Not because life will suddenly become perfect, but because your heart will find a peace that no circumstance can shake. True reliance is not about sitting back and waiting for miracles. It is about tying your camel, making your effort, planning wisely, taking the necessary steps, and then leaving the result in the hands of the one who sees what you cannot see. Relying on Allah is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It is not laziness, it is deep spiritual intelligence. Because when you place your trust in Allah, you are acknowledging that His knowledge is greater than yours, His timing is more perfect than yours, and His love for you exceeds what you even know about yourself. Many times people confuse reliance with passiveness. They think that if you say, I rely on Allah, it means you're doing nothing. But that's not true. Reliance means you'll walk into the fire with the certainty that you are protected. You'll stand before a sea with an army behind you and still say, my Lord is with me and He will guide me. You'll walk into a storm and still sleep peacefully, knowing that He controls the winds. That is the level of trust that transforms your trials into strength. And yet, this kind of reliance doesn't come overnight. It grows when you start recognizing the pattern of how Allah works in your life. Think back to the times when you thought it was over, when you thought you wouldn't survive, when you couldn't breathe from the pressure of the world, but somehow, some way, relief came. Not always the way you expected, but it came. And every time it came, you walked away stronger, wiser, and more spiritually awake. These are not coincidences, they are signs that the one who created you is constantly carrying you. The people who rely on Allah are not those who never face challenges. In fact, they often face the hardest tests. But what makes them different is that their hearts are attached to the one who never lets go. They don't crumble under pressure because their strength is not drawn from temporary things. They draw it from the source of all strength. They understand that if the entire world was to plan against them, it would still be meaningless if Allah has already decreed something better for them. Sometimes Allah will test your reliance by removing every option. You will look around and see no doors open, no people willing to help, no signs of change, and still He will ask you to trust. Because in that moment, you are not supposed to look at the creation, you are supposed to look directly at the Creator. You are supposed to recognize that He doesn't need doors to open ways. He doesn't need people to bring solutions. When He wants to help you, He will command things into existence that were never there before. He will send help in ways you didn't imagine, from places you never expected. Reliance teaches you to stop trying to control every detail of your life. It frees you from the anxiety of outcomes. It allows you to do your best and say, whatever happens, I know it is what's best for me. This surrender is not a defeat. It is a deep spiritual elevation. It brings peace, it brings calmness. It brings a tranquility that you cannot find through money, status, or even relationships. Because once you know Allah is in charge and you have sincerely placed your trust in Him, there's nothing left to worry about. People will often question, how do I build this kind of trust? And the answer lies in knowing who Allah is. The more you know Him, the more you will rely on Him. When you know He is the most merciful, you will trust that He will forgive you no matter how much you've messed up. When you know He is the most powerful, you will believe that He can remove your difficulties in an instant. When you know He is the most wise, you will accept delays and redirections with patience. It all begins with knowledge, a sincere, humble knowledge of your Lord. The irony of life is that the more you try to control everything, the more anxious you become. But the moment you hand things over to Allah, you feel lighter. That heaviness in your chest begins to fade. You realize you were never meant to carry everything alone. You realize that your job is not to solve the entire puzzle. It's to take the next step in the right direction and leave the rest to the one who already knows how the story ends. And sometimes Allah will break your plans to protect your heart. He will remove certain people, cancel certain opportunities, and block certain paths, not to punish you but to prepare you. Because He knows that if you had received what you wanted, it would have harmed you, or it would have distracted you, or it would have made you forget Him. So in His love, He withholds. And the ones who truly rely on Him are those who say, even this delay is mercy, even this rejection is protection, even this heartbreak is part of His plan for my growth. When your heart is attached to Allah, you won't be shaken by the opinions of people. You won't live your life chasing validation. Because you understand that the one who created hearts is the same one who can turn them in your favor when the time is right. You don't beg creation, you seek the pleasure of the Creator. You don't fall apart when people leave, because your anchor was never them to begin with. Your anchor was always Allah. And part of this journey is learning that sometimes the reason things are not working out is because your heart needs to return to its true home. Your heart was never meant to depend fully on wealth, people or plans. It was meant to be anchored to the one who created it. So when your heart breaks, it's not the end, it's a return. It's a gentle or sometimes painful reminder to shift your focus back to the one who never leaves you. When your heart breaks, you will feel pain, you will cry, you will feel lost. And that's okay. Those emotions are valid. But don't stop there. Let your pain lead you to the one who heals. Let your tears wash your heart so it becomes soft again. Sometimes Allah allows your heart to break only to rebuild it upon a stronger foundation. Maybe He wants to replace something temporary with something eternal. Maybe He's breaking the attachment so you can finally be free. So many people carry wounds that no one sees. They smile in public but they cry in private. They appear strong but they are crumbling inside. And yet Allah sees it all. He knows the weight you carry. He knows the pain you hide, and He is not ignoring you. In fact, sometimes it is your very brokenness that brings you closer to Him than your comfort ever could. When you are broken, you turn to Him more sincerely. Your prayers become deeper. Your soul becomes softer. Your faith becomes real. Don't let your broken heart make you bitter. Let it make you better. Don't let your pain make you hopeless. Let it be the reason you finally surrender. Sometimes the only reason you are in that situation is so you can fall into sujood and reconnect. Maybe Allah took something away because He missed hearing your voice. Maybe He allowed something to fall apart so you would fall into place. When you think you're falling, you might actually be rising. Let your heart speak to Allah. Tell Him everything. You don't need fancy words. You don't need long speeches. Just be real. Be sincere. Talk to Him like you would to the one who knows you best, because He does. Tell Him what hurts. Ask Him for healing. And believe that even if you don't see it yet, the healing has already begun. Allah doesn't ignore sincere tears. He doesn't leave sincere prayers unanswered. Sometimes the answer is quick. Sometimes it takes time. And sometimes the answer is not what you asked for, but something even better. Trust that. Trust His wisdom. Trust His plan. Trust that when something breaks, it's because He wants to build something greater in its place. You are not alone. Even if everyone turns away, you are never alone. The one who created you has never left you. He sees your pain, He hears your prayers, and He is working on your behalf even when you can't see it. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Rely on Him and keep walking. Let your reliance be your light in the darkness. Let your trust be your peace in the storm, and let your broken heart be the reason you become stronger than ever before. There are times when you will be praying for something so deeply, waiting for something so desperately, and yet all you get is silence. You cry, you plead, and still it feels like nothing is moving. You might begin to wonder if your prayers are even being heard. You start to question the delay, the rejection, the unanswered door. But if you truly understood what Allah had planned for you, you would smile even as the tears fall. You would breathe with peace even in the middle of uncertainty, because His plan is never late. His plan is never wrong. His plan is not punishing you, it's preparing you. Sometimes He delays the outcome because you are not yet ready for what you're asking. And sometimes what you're asking is not ready for you. So the delay is not denial, it is protection. It is wisdom, it is mercy in disguise. You may not see it now, but the path you're walking is being cleared for something far greater than what you asked for. While you are fixated on one specific outcome, He is designing a future that will serve your heart, your faith, and your purpose in the best possible way. You may have written out your life in your mind, where you want to be, who you want to be with, what kind of job, what kind of family, what kind of future. But sometimes Allah will completely rewrite your plans, not to hurt you, but to remind you that He is the author and you are the one trusting the script. You might be in a chapter that feels full of heartbreak and confusion, but the next chapter could be full of light, healing and joy. You just haven't turned the page yet. The mind cannot always understand what the heart is going through. And that's okay. You're not supposed to understand everything. You're supposed to believe. You're supposed to keep walking even when the road bends unexpectedly. You're supposed to keep trusting even when the signs aren't visible. The one who created your heart knows exactly what will heal it. And when you're overwhelmed by the unknown, just remember, if you could see the full picture, you would be amazed at how every delay was actually divine redirection. When something you love slips away from you, it's hard to be grateful in that moment. It's hard to believe that this loss could be a blessing. But so often, what we lose is something we would have begged to let go of had we seen what the future holds. So many times the people who walked away were not part of the destination Allah intended for us. So many times the job that didn't work out was a door away from a situation that would have pulled us away from our values, our peace, our growth. So many times the delay brought you closer to the prayer mat than success ever did. You see, faith is not just believing when everything goes your way. Faith is smiling when your plans collapse. Faith is saying Alhamdulillah when your dua is still unanswered. Faith is understanding that the same Lord who gives is the one who sometimes withholds, and both are forms of His mercy. Faith is standing at the edge of the unknown and saying, I don't know what's next, but I know Allah will choose the best for me. One of the biggest tests in life is watching things fall apart while being told to trust the one who controls it all. It's being asked to let go of what you wanted so deeply, so painfully, so purely, and believing that what's coming will replace every ounce of that sorrow. It's understanding that a closed door here means an open gate somewhere else, and sometimes that gate leads straight to the peace you've been searching for your entire life. But you only find it once you stop chasing after what you thought was meant for you and start embracing what He has chosen. Many people live their lives running after those who were never meant to stay. You exhaust yourself seeking validation from people who don't even understand your worth. You chase relationships that only bring stress. You try to fix what was already written to fall apart. And then you wonder why your heart feels so heavy, why your soul is tired. It's because you're putting all your energy into creation while forgetting the Creator. You're chasing shadows while the light of Allah is calling you home. When you stop chasing people and start strengthening your connection with the one who controls their hearts, everything changes. You start to realize that you never had to beg for someone's attention or love. The one who created love itself is fully aware of what your heart needs, and when He knows you're ready, He will place the right people in your life. No, because you begged for them, but because you trusted Him. The reason many hearts break is because we place them in the hands of people instead of Allah. We expect from people what only Allah can give: consistent care, unconditional love, pure intentions. And when people fail uses, they inevitably will we feel crushed. But it was never their job to carry your heart. That's a responsibility that belongs only to the one who created it. So the moment you shift your heart back to where it belongs, that's when the healing begins. That's when the strength starts to grow. That's when you begin to attract peace instead of pain. You will never regret the time you spent building your relationship with Allah. You will never regret waking up for a silent prayer, crying to Him when no one else was listening, asking Him for healing when everyone else said move on. Because He listens in a way no one else can. He understands what you mean even when you can't put it into words. He is near even when you feel completely alone. And the one who builds their connection with Him first before they build it with people will always find fulfillment even in the absence of this world's attention. Stop chasing love from those who were never capable of giving it. Stop waiting for people to come back and apologize. Stop lowering yourself just to be accepted. If someone was written for you, they will come without you needing to beg. They will love you in a way that brings you closer to Allah, not in a way that drags your soul further into confusion. But for that kind of love to enter your life, you have to make space by letting go of the wrong one first. And that letting go begins by turning back to Allah. When you seek to be loved by the most loving, you will find yourself protected in ways you never imagined. He will shield you from those who would have harmed you. He will distance you from people you cried to keep. He will place barriers where your emotions wanted bridges, and only later will you understand that was not rejection, it was redirection. That was not cruelty, it was divine compassion. Let your heart return to its rightful owner. Don't hand it to temporary hands when you have access to eternal mercy. Don't give away your peace for the sake of being noticed. Don't measure your worth based on who stays and who leaves. Your worth was already defined the day you were created by the Most High. Your soul has value because it was molded by the Divine. And when you recognize that, you will stop seeking your identity in people who don't even know themselves. True peace begins when your day starts with His name, when your heart is focused on pleasing Him, not pleasing people, when your dua is for guidance, not for outcomes, when your connection with Him becomes more important than any phone call, text message, or social media validation. That kind of peace doesn't come from anything external, it comes from within, because you've realigned yourself with the one who never changes, never leaves, and never breaks promises. Every time you're tempted to run after someone, pause and ask, is this bringing me closer to the one who controls their heart, or is it pulling me further from Him? Because if it's not bringing you closer to Him, it's not worth chasing. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. If it makes you forget who you are, it's not part of your purpose. Let your love for Allah become so strong that it filters who enters your life, who stays and who fades away. Letting go is hard, but holding on to the wrong thing is even harder. When you release your grip on what wasn't meant for you, your hands become free to receive what is. And when your soul detaches from people who never valued you, it becomes free to connect with the one who always has. Your healing starts not when others change, but when you change how deeply you're connected to the source of all healing. Shift your focus. Stop chasing people who keep running. Stop waiting for someone else to fix your emptiness. Stop giving pieces of your heart to those who don't even protect their own. Instead, focus on the one who has never left you, not for a moment. Speak to Him, cry to Him, trust Him. And let your soul find rest, not in being chosen by people, but in knowing you are always chosen by Him. There are tears that fall from the eyes but are never seen by another soul. There are nights when your pillow becomes the only witness to your pain. There are moments of silence where your heart screams but your voice remains still. And yet, even though no one else notices, those tears are never wasted. Not a single drop goes unseen by the one who created your heart in the first place. Even before the tear rolls down your cheek, He already knows the reason for it. And His mercy begins responding before your lips even move in dua. That is the beauty of turning to the one who knows you better than you know yourself. The tears you cry in secret are a language that only He understands fully. They carry your deepest pain, your most sincere requests, your brokenness, your repentance, and your love all wrapped in silence. And in return, what you receive is comfort, mercy, and divine attention like no other. When you cry to people, they may listen for a while, they may care for a moment, but eventually they get tired. Their own lives distract them, their own struggles consume them. But when you cry to Allah, He never turns away. He never gets tired of your voice. You can come to Him again and again, even with the same dua, even with the same broken heart, and every time He will respond in the way that's best for you. Sometimes the response is immediate. Sometimes it's delayed for wisdom. And sometimes it's replaced with something far greater than what you asked for. But one thing is guaranteed, it is never ignored. Many people think that if they are crying, if they are struggling, if they are broken, it must mean something is wrong with them spiritually. But the truth is, some of the closest people to Allah were the ones who cried the most. Their tears didn't mean weakness. Their tears meant connection. It meant they were pouring their hearts to the one who could fix what they could not. When your tears are accompanied by sincere reliance on Allah, they become a form of worship. They become a healing process. They cleanse not just your heart, but your soul. And through those private conversations in sujood, through those whispered prayers in the night, your relationship with your Creator strengthens in a way nothing else can offer. There are things you cannot even explain to yourself, but Allah knows. He understands your confusion. He knows what you lost before you lost it. He knows how hard you tried. He knows what people said behind your back. He knows the weight you carry in silence. And He doesn't ignore any of it. Every pain you go through is seen. Every difficulty is recorded. Every sincere effort is rewarded. The one who knows what is in the hearts does not allow your tears to go to waste. And sometimes your silent pain becomes the very reason He raises your status, forgives your past, and grants you blessings you never imagined. The world teaches us to hide our pain, to stay strong, to pretend. But faith teaches us to be vulnerable before our Lord, to weep before Him, to admit that we're weak and that we need His help. And in that humility there is power. In that surrender there is strength. Because you are no longer relying on your limited self. You are relying on the one whose power has no limit. You are placing your trust in the one who never sleeps, who never forgets, who never abandons. And what many people don't realize is that when you go through hardship, it's not always a punishment. Sometimes it's purification, sometimes it's elevation, sometimes it's preparation for something greater. Sometimes your tears are what wash away sins that you didn't even know were holding you back. Sometimes they are the means through which your heart softens, your perspective changes, and your connection with Allah deepens. Sometimes those tears bring you closer to paradise than years of ease ever could. So don't despise your moments of sadness. Don't think they are meaningless. If they bring you to your knees in dua, if they make you speak to Allah more sincerely, then they are a gift disguised in hardship. People might tell you to move on quickly, to stop crying, to be strong, but don't rush your healing. Let yourself feel. Let your heart break if it must, but in the process, let it fall into the hands of the one who can mend it like no one else. No matter how deep the scar, no matter how shattered your dreams, He can replace them with something even more beautiful. You just need to trust His timing. You just need to be patient with the process. And you need to keep turning to Him even when nothing makes sense. There is something special about those moments when no one knows what you're going through and you choose to turn to Allah instead of giving up. It is in those moments that your soul shines the brightest. Because in secret, when no one is watching, when no one is cheering for you, when no one is comforting you, and still you lift your hands to the sky and say, Ya Allah, help me. That is a moment of powerful faith. That is a moment when angels are sent to record, when mercy descends, when hope is planted deep in your chest, even if you don't see the fruit yet. And it is often in those quiet, painful moments that something else happens. You begin to realize that nothing in this life can give you the peace that comes from a strong relationship with Allah. Not money, not friendships, not approval, not even the things you once thought you couldn't live without. Because true peace doesn't come from perfect conditions. It comes from knowing that your heart is anchored to the one who can never disappoint. That's why when you begin to fix your relationship with Him, everything else in your life begins to fall into place. When your priorities shift and Allah becomes your number one, your world starts to look different. Your mindset changes, your habits improve, your speech becomes more conscious, your choices reflect sincerity. And the people around you begin to feel that presence of peace in you, not because life is suddenly easy, but because your heart is finally aligned with its purpose. You were not created to chase this world. You were created to remember your Creator. You were not created to be accepted by everyone. You were created to seek the acceptance of the one who owns the hearts of everyone. Many people look for solutions in the wrong places. They think if they can just fix their job or their finances or their relationships, they will feel whole again. But all of those things are just external. If the inside is broken, the outside will always feel hollow. Fixing your relationship with Allah means returning to your origin. It means restoring your soul. And once that connection is made strong, once your salah becomes consistent, once your dua becomes sincere, once your heart begins to long for His closeness, everything around you will begin to fall into place, even if it's not perfect. It doesn't mean life will be without struggle, but it means you will have the inner strength to face whatever comes your way. You will stop being shaken by people's opinions. You will stop being dependent on temporary things. You will stop stressing over things that are out of your control, because your anchor will no longer be the dunya, it will be your faith. And faith is what will hold you steady in every storm. When you fix your relationship with Allah, you don't have to chase blessings. They will begin to find you. You will find yourself at the right place at the right time. You will see doors open where you thought they were sealed shut. You will witness how something simple becomes a source of deep joy, while something you once chased no longer even tempts you. That's because your heart will be at ease. It will stop craving the temporary highs of this world and start appreciating the steady peace that comes from spiritual clarity. Your salah becomes more than a routine, it becomes your safe space. Your Quran becomes more than a book, it becomes your companion. Your dua becomes more than a request, it becomes your emotional release. And your nights become more than hours to sleep. They become your moments of intimacy with the divine. You begin to see life through a different lens. You no longer panic when things don't go your way. You trust the one who controls the way. And the amazing thing is, you don't have to be perfect to start this process. You don't have to wait until you're free from all sins. You just need to begin, take the first step. Make one sincere prayer. Offer one sincere sajda. Recite one verse of Quran with understanding. The smallest step toward Him is still a step, and Allah never ignores sincerity. He knows your struggles. He sees the effort. And He will respond in ways that will surprise you. You may be carrying guilt. You may feel unworthy. You may think it's too late. But Allah's mercy is greater than your past. His forgiveness is wider than your mistakes. He welcomes the sinner who turns to Him with more love than a mother welcoming her lost child. So don't let shame stop you from returning. Let it push you to begin anew. Let it fuel your transformation. Let it humble you in a way that brings you closer to Him. There is no one too far gone. No heart too broken, no soul too damaged. The moment you decide to return, the gates of mercy are opened wide for you. And once you step through them, you realize that what you were missing was never out there in the world. It was always this inner connection, this relationship with your Creator. And when that is rebuilt, you will find peace you never thought possible. Peace in uncertainty, peace in hardship, peace in loneliness, peace even in the middle of chaos. Because true peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of Allah in your heart. So